In the world that we live in today, everybody lives a lenient and chaotic life. But there is beauty and purpose in living a strict and structured life. What is that like, Austin?
Now, I think both of us can relate to this very well. But some of y'all have not gotten y'all's ass whooped, and it shows. Now, I know in today's lenient and chaotic world, you can't do certain things like that, right? You don't want to put your hands on, your children because that's not how you discipline children, right? And that's how they believe shit to be today. However, I think that a large part of why we have become somewhat successful, somewhat knowledgeable, and have achieved certain things in life wasn't because our parents let us do whatever the fuck we wanted to do. I think it was because they didn't let us do whatever the fuck we wanted to do. And when we got in trouble, there was consequences, right? A lot of people nowadays, a lot of kids nowadays don't understand that. So when they grow up in the world and they think that life is just how they want it to be and they can handle things chaotically and not with much structure, life smacks them in the face because they're not showing the respect and the reverence that they should for life and for the people around them. But because I was talking to someone about this weekend, actually, we have these things. We are able to have these laptops. We're able to have this sunset coming in right now where we have to adjust the lighting and whatnot of the cameras. We're able to have these microphones, everything like that, because we had a strict and structured life growing up. And that taught us how to behave ourselves. That taught us how to conduct ourselves. That taught us how to handle things like finances, balancing, networking, things of that nature, to the point to where we're able to have these things, but also maintain these things. And you're only able, in my opinion, to gather large amounts of success and maintain large amounts of success through strict and structured criteria set upon yourself. I think it was that Honda SRV. That's what it was. Or CRV. Yep.
Must have been. Actually, I think it was the bus, the Capital Metro.
Of course. Yeah.
There's a saying that Jocko Willink has, and that's that discipline equals freedom.
Yes.
A lot of people find that structure is restricting, or at least that's their initial thought. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. Why, you may ask? And you're a genius if you ask why. And I appreciate you, as does Austin, because that means you actually use your brain. Structure allows you the ability and gives you the capacity to complete your tasks in a quicker and more efficient manner, which, logically speaking, frees up the time portion that you would have originally spent to complete that task to do whatever the fuck your tiny little heart desires. And why is this important? Well, because you get more time of your life back. And also, by extension, you can do more with your time, which means you can make more progress. So in other words, being strict and applying a structure to your life gives you more freedom, and it allows you to accomplish more. I don't know about you, but there's not many things that you can do that have such a great ROI. If we could tell you that you could get 25 to 30% more of your time back and complete your to-do list to almost 70% completion every single day and achieve all your goals in less than a practical timeline, and you only need to do two things, be strict and apply a structure to your life, would you do it? Or would you continue being a little poopy pants sissy who complains that life is hard, that discipline is hard, and that you believe that your life should be easier and everything should fall in your lap and that everything should work out, you should get the job that you want, you should be rich, that beautiful, beautiful lady should totally have given you a chance, that your parents should treat you with respect, that you should just have $1 million in the bank, that every rich man and woman in this world should respect and value your time, because if we're talking about delusions, why don't we just continue?
Now, I think this is going to be a little bit risky to say this, but I have lived it, so I'm willing to step on that limb and on it. So, when it comes to mental health, anxiety, and depression, I think one of the main things that people forget or don't think about when thinking about their situation that they're in and maybe their lack of having good mental health in their opinion is the fact that their life has probably little to no structure, right? Because at least think of it from an anxious mind. When you have an anxious mind, your mind is all over the place. You're thinking about all these different types of things that could go wrong, instead of all the things that can go right, of course, but all these different types of things that could go wrong, all these things that could happen that could negatively impact you. And your mind is very chaotic. There's a lot that you have to process. Things aren't structured. Things aren't laid out in a nice, concise way to where you can process one thing one at a time, or at least that's not how you view things, right? So in my opinion, what helped me conquer my anxiety and my depression wasn't doing whatever I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it. I noticed that led to me being more anxious and more depressed whenever I didn't have a structured plan, whenever I just lounged about doing whatever it is that I wanted to do, being lazy, eating whatever bullshit food that I wanted to eat, watching whatever dumbass show I wanted to watch, that didn't help me at all. It might have felt all right momentarily, but in the long run, that did nothing for me. But I said, in order for me to get out of this rut, to get out of this hole here, I need to go back to doing things how I used to do them. And what did that mean? That meant going to the gym, going through things that I didn't necessarily like to do in the moment, but I knew would benefit me in the long term. Eating better. Going to class again, because there were some times where I didn't feel like going to class and sometimes I just didn't go, which was very unlike me. Going to class. Going out and being more social, and not social like just drinking all that bullshit, but literally going up to people, having conversations, even though I didn't feel like having them. So having that level of structure and adding that back into my life over a long period of time and being very, strict and also diligent when it came to doing so led me to look up one day and say, hey, shit, what the fuck? I feel good again. And I didn't start feeling good again because I started doing whatever the fuck I wanted to do. I started to feel good again because I had a plan, I had a criteria, I had a list of things that I knew that I needed to do, that I did every single day, whether I wanted to or not. And because of that discipline, because of that structure, and because that level of, strict managing over my life that I had for myself, I was able to turn my anxious and depressed days into enjoyable and productive days. So for those out there who are suffering from some type of anxiety or depression or some type of mental illness that I didn't list, instead of saying, hey, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do and take some time off and lounge around, I'd say do the opposite. Do the things that you know that you need to get done. Stop procrastinating. Be very intentional about the things that you do and stick to it. The more you stick to it, the more you have that structured life, it leads you to what Jocko Willink and what Jose said, which is freedom. And I know it sounds backwards. I know it sounds like it's nonsensical, but trust me, having that structure in your life and making things align how they're supposed to or how they used to when you were happier, that can lead you to that freedom. And if you really think back to when you were a kid. When we were kids, though you might not have realized it, our life was very structured. If you weren't home at a specific point in time, your parents probably whooped your ass, right? You had to go to school. You got picked up at a certain time of day, every day. You probably had a similar lunch or something, or lunch at the same time, breakfast at the same fucking time, had family dinner at the same fucking time. You're only allowed to watch certain shows. You're only allowed to consume certain content. You only were allowed to have dessert at a certain time and not past this time. We had a very structured life. And most people would say that their childhood was probably the best part of their fucking lives. Now, why is that when it was also the most structured part of our lives when you think about it? Do I think that's a coincidence? I don't. Because when you have that structure, it leads to a better life, whether you know it or not.
And there's a saying about the pain of regret versus the pain of doing the actual action, putting in the motion and putting in the effort that you need to put in. And I'm going to put a spin on it here. This is a Jose spin. And that's the pain of regret is greater than the pain of deficiency. And in this instance, I'm using deficiency as a present observation. You are currently deficient in whatever ability, capacity, or skill that you wish you were more efficient in. However, a deficiency in this instance can be acted upon, meaning you can change and you can act to remediate the deficiency that you have. However, regret is in the past. You regret not taking this action. You regret not playing this game. You regret not talking to that beautiful woman. You regret staying at your job, or you regret leaving your job. You regret not starting your business. You regret burning that bridge because you look at now it could take you to the next level, but your poor judgment in the moment is what sets you up for failure. Now, again, she's smiling too.
I know.
I've never seen those.
Because normally she's wearing some big dumbass shirt. Sorry. Not really, though.
That's not a deficiency. I'm deficient of that.
No.
Vitamin A, S, F. You can't ever OD on that shit. That's for sure. But would you rather live with the pain of regret or the pain of deficiency? Knowing that you can take action to circumvent your deficiencies. Hey, I wasn't good enough in this conversation. I didn't provide a compelling enough argument to where I lost this negotiation. Great. However, this isn't the last opportunity I'm ever going to have. I can work on that deficiency and make it my strongest sales point. I can become the most eloquent salesman in the room. Or, hey, I didn't have the 8-pack that my girl wanted, so she left me. Cool. I can go get that 8-pack. You get to fucking work. That's the difference. Allowing yourself to apply a strict and ruthless regimen that enacts the proper structure for you to achieve goals that you still have in your capacity is what will take you to the next level. And if you think that you would rather not do it, just understand, again, the pain of regret is much more and much everlasting than the pain of deficiency.
And you know what's funny? This might be a hit or miss, but especially coming from two minorities here. Prison. Yeah, I know. Watch. But for real.
Wow, you didn't even go to jail. You went straight to prison.
Prison, jail, any type of incarceration. If you have been there or if you are there, because there's such a level of structure and it's so strict, you know what that also does? That level of strictness and that level of structure, it helps you realize how much life that there is and how much freedom that you originally had. So whether you're forced to be in that level of structure or not, if you put yourself through that level of structure, you come out on the other side with a different perspective on life. That's what it's intended for. is to have a different perspective and realize maybe how I was going about doing things was incorrect. Maybe how I was thinking about things was incorrect. If you place yourself under a level of structure, intense structure, or intense level of strictness, you're able to have a different idea of life and how you can go through things and how you can handle things in life. And again, that's shown in places like jail and places like prison. Now, everyone doesn't come out of it reformed like how they supposedly intend to, right? But for some people, they do come out saying, you know what? I didn't realize how my life was so great with the freedom that I was allotted because I was living very chaotically and I was doing this. But whenever I got placed under this level of structure, this intense level of structure, it made me appreciate life more. And that same thing can happen to you without having to be incarcerated, without having to go to jail, without having to go to prison. But if you place yourselves under levels of structure, you'll start to have a better appreciation for life and all that it holds for you. So, goddamn. Anyway,
that's the pain of speaking the truth. It doesn't just hurt you; it hurts us.
Indeed.
Because we know that we're hurting you. We feel like parents scolding their children, but it's a responsible and necessary job in society.
Right.
And it pains us to apply that level of discipline to our children.
And people like I believe it's Wes Watson.
Oh, I love Wes Watson.
And I've seen other people who have come out of, being incarcerated. They still hold on to certain things that they did in jail, such as fold their bed, place their shoes at a specific point in their room, fold their clothes a specific way every time. Like
they even do the same workouts that they used to do.
Exactly. So they still have that level of structure. Now, some might say it's because they've just been brainwashed into doing that. Or it could also be because they saw the benefit of doing so. They saw the benefit of keeping a tidy home. They saw the benefit of doing these workouts a certain way. They saw the benefit of handling conflict or not handling conflict how they would have handled it. So because of that structure, again, it changed how they did things in the regular world and helped them stay on the straight and narrow, and even help some people, again, like Wes Watson, succeed because he had that mindset and because he had that level of structure and because he was able to navigate the world better than most because he wasn't so chaotic with his thoughts, so he wasn't so chaotic with his actions. Because he had that structure, he was able to tackle the pursuit of excellence better and a lot more straight line than most.
Do I have anything else to say? Nope. The M Club Podcast.
Slide it out. Mic check.
The AM Club Podcast.